Discover the heartwarming truth, the humble farmer with a hidden billionaire legacy revealed after years of silence. In the picturesque town of Maplewood, where golden fields dance under the sun and the aroma of freshly baked pies fills the air during the harvest festival, Jack Thompson's name was synonymous with hard work and generosity. A 35-year-old farmer, he had cultivated the land his family had cherished for generations. Each seed he planted bore the weight of history, a legacy that resonated in the laughter of children and the warmth of potluck dinners. But hidden beneath Jack's calloused hands and grounded spirit lay a secret: $1 billion fortune from a father who had chosen wealth over family when he vanished from their lives. As autumn painted the landscape with shades of orange and brown, the town began to ripple with unrest. Jobs disappeared faster than the leaves fell, and families struggled. Whispers about Jack's hidden wealth reached a fevered pitch, pulling him into a storm of turmoil. Should he reveal his inheritance to aid his neighbors, or should he protect the modest life instilled in him by his mother? The tension grew, and with it, the trust he'd built over years teetered precariously. A familiar face emerged one chilly afternoon when Sarah, his childhood friend, confronted him. "Jack, why are you keeping this from us? You could make a difference." Her words stung like a sharp winter breeze. Jack felt a tightening in his chest as he searched her eyes for understanding. The very people he had devoted himself to were now questioning his integrity. His heart raced as doubt crept in. Would they still see a farmer or just a missing billionaire? In a community meeting filled with tense chatter, voices rose in anger and suspicion. Jack sat at the edge, feeling the weight of the world as accusations flew around the room. Even those he had considered allies turned their backs, and the very air felt heavy with betrayal. Amidst this chaos, his estranged father appeared, asking for forgiveness, a shadow from the past. Jack's emotions boiled beneath the surface. He had loathed the man who had abandoned them, yet here was a chance for something he never thought possible: reconnection. As the storm of emotions swirled, Jack felt the echoes of his mother's lessons about dignity and the importance of community. He longed for clarity, for answers to questions that rang loudly in his heart. A moment of quiet fell over him. Could he reconcile his humble existence with the expectations tied to this newfound legacy? The weight felt unbearable. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As storm clouds gathered and rumblings of a tempest filled the sky, Jack found himself standing at the precipice of a life-altering decision. The winds howled, a chaotic melody mirroring the turmoil within. Fog enveloped Maplewood, shrouding it in uncertainty. Torn between the urge to protect what he built and the possibility of helping his community flourish, Jack stood at a crossroads. Would he embrace the legacy he never wanted, or retreat to the shadows of anonymity forever? As the first drops of rain began to fall, Jack felt a chill sweep through him, a reminder of the storm brewing both outside and within. Each droplet seemed to echo the doubts and fears swirling in his mind. He took a deep breath, steadying himself against the weight pressing down upon his heart. This decision was monumental, and the eyes of the town felt like they were locked onto him, demanding answers he wasn't sure he had. "I can't do this alone," he muttered under his breath. With that thought echoing in his mind, he grabbed his jacket and headed out into the darkening day. The fields lay heavy with moisture, their rich soil saturated with the promise of the harvest. But for Jack, every step felt like trudging deeper into uncharted territory. He knew he had to talk to Sarah. She had a fire in her that lit up every room and every conversation. If anyone could help him navigate this mess, it was her. He squinted through the rain to see the familiar outline of the old barn, his sanctuary. It was there he had spent countless hours daydreaming, planting seeds, and nurturing friendships. When Jack entered, the wooden beams felt like a warm embrace against the cold. Sarah was already inside, wiping her hands on her apron as she set down a pie cooling on the windowsill. The aroma of cinnamon filled the air, a familiar comfort amidst his turmoil. "Hey," she said, lifting her gaze to his, her expression shifting from cheerful to concerned. She stepped forward, her eyes searching his. "What's wrong?" "I don't know what to do," he said, the words catching in his throat. "I can't let everyone down. But this money, it could save lives." Jack," she interrupted gently. "It's not just about the money. It's about you. What do you want?" The question hung between them like a delicate thread. Jack ran a hand through his hair, frustration bubbling within him. "I want to keep the trust, the goodwill of the community. I want to be the farmer they know and love, not this person they think I am. So, keep being that farmer. Use the money to support your community, help them find jobs, create programs. You could be the bridge between who you are and what you could become," Sarah urged, her eyes brightening with conviction. "What if they hate me for it? What if they think I've become one of them?" Jack gestured wildly, his heart pounding. "They want tea," she replied, stepping closer. "They've seen you give everything you have to this town. They trust you, Jack, and if you let them in on your truth, they'll understand. You may surprise yourself too." Her faith sparked something deep inside him, igniting hope amidst the chaos. Jack felt a flicker of courage. "Maybe I could host a town meeting. Introduce the idea, make it clear that I don't want to be anything other than who I've always been." A plan began to form. There it was, a thread of light weaving through his desperation. For the first time in days, he felt a sense of purpose rising within him. But as he began formulating words for the upcoming meeting, a thought struck him hard. Would his father's appearance complicate everything? Would his very presence shatter what fragile trust remained? With a sense of determination mingled with dread, he realized he had to confront his father before sharing anything publicly. Jack's heart raced at the thought of seeing him again. As the rain began to pour heavier, he whispered, "I need to make a choice, Sarah. And it's time to face the past, even if it scares me." Feeling a surge of adrenaline and apprehension mixed together, Jack stepped back into the storm, ready to face whatever the future would throw at him. Would his father's return break the facade he had built, or would it provide a path towards healing? As he moved, a gust of wind swept through the barn, pushing the door wide open, revealing the raw power of the storm outside, a force that mirrored the conflict in his heart. Jack shivered, but he pressed on, willing to confront everything that lay ahead. What would happen when he inevitably faced his father again? Would he find forgiveness, or would the past engulf him like the winding storm? Jack trudged through the torrential rain, each step heavier than the last, the world around him a blur of gray and chaos. Memories swirled in his mind like leaves caught in a whirlwind, past arguments, lost moments, his father's smile fading from memory. The pressure of unresolved feelings weighed on him. Every drop of rain felt like a reminder of the water under the bridge that had yet to be crossed. As he approached the scattered remnants of his childhood, the old farmstead loomed ahead, drenched but familiar. The house, once vibrant with lively dinners and laughter, now stood silent and dark, shadows lurking within its walls. He paused for a moment, hand poised on the door, his heart pounding as if the structure itself could sense his hesitation. "Just breathe, Jack," he murmured to himself, the storm matching the tempest brewing in his chest. "You know what you have to do." With a firm grip, he pushed the door open and stepped inside. The musty scent of aged wood and dust greeted him, a stark contrast to the fresh earth outside. The past was alive here, whispering echoes of a different time. He knew he would have to face his father eventually, but the thought twisted in his stomach like a bitter root. "Dad?" he called out, his voice lost in the silence. He half hoped for an answer, half dreaded it. In the shadows of the dimly lit living room, his father's figure emerged, weary but tall, the brawn of a farmer still evident beneath the layers of time and regret. Jack's heart raced. They hadn't seen each other in years. Memories of bitter words and unresolved arguments flared in his mind, suffocated his resolve. "Jack," his father's voice broke the silence, thick with old tensions and new aches. "You're back." I need to talk," Jack managed, steeling himself against the weight of an unspoken past. His father nodded, emotion creeping into his features. They stood there, a chasm of lost time stretching between them, the rain's rhythm keeping account of moments gone by. Jack could feel the old house breathing around them, waiting for words to fill the void. About what? His father asked, a slight tremor in his voice. The community, Jack began, swallowing the lump of bitterness. They need help, and I want to do something. I'm thinking of hosting a town meeting. Your grandfather would be proud, his father remarked, a flash of warmth crossing his face, but it quickly faded. I wanted to protect you from all of this, from the burden of the family name. The burden? Jack's voice cracked, frustration bubbling to the surface. I never wanted to be shielded. I wanted to know who I really am. Why did you let me walk away? Silence hung heavy in the air. Jack's heart beat wildly against the walls of his chest, words spilling out like a broken dam. You told me I had to forge my own path. Now I'm trying, but you have to meet me halfway. His father's gaze softened, the distance between them beginning to bridge. I thought leaving would make it easier on you. I never wanted to drag you down with mistakes. A storm of conflicting emotions surged within Jack. Was this the beginning of understanding or just another chapter of hurt? But your absence hurt more, he confessed, pain slicing through him. I can't do this without you. Each word hung in the air as the pounding rain drummed against the roof. The real storm outside mirrored the tempest within. Jack reached for honesty, his voice steadying with newfound resolve. I need your help, Dad. The community needs your experience. A heavy sigh escaped his father's lips, as if the weight of years were finally being acknowledged. I've made mistakes, but if there's still a chance to support our town, then I want to be there for you. Hope flickered between them, delicate yet strong, melding with the heavy rains. As they stood together, the storm outside raged on, but within the walls of the old house, a glimmer of healing began to take root. But as the silence wrapped around them, Jack couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning of an even greater confrontation. What secrets had his father kept all these years, and how deep were the scars that lay beneath the surface? The rain eased to a gentle patter, but the tension in the room remained thick. Jack stood, heart racing, waiting for his father to break the silence. He could sense the unknown barriers still between them, unspoken words that somehow felt more potent than the downpour outside. Jack, his father began cautiously, a hint of vulnerability slipping through. Whenever I came back to this house, I felt the weight of everything I had done. Leaving you, it broke me more than you know. Jack nodded, tears prickling the back of his eyes. I didn't just leave, Dad. I chose to build my life away from it all because I had to. But it felt like you wanted that for me. A life free of family burdens, and I get it. But you never understood me either. What do you mean? His father's brow furrowed, confusion mingling with regret. I needed to know you, understand where I came from. Instead, I grew up thinking the family name was a curse, Jack confessed, his voice thick. I wanted to show you I could make something of myself, and I've tried. But I can't shake the feeling that there's more to our story. Your story. What are you hiding? His father sighed heavily, shoulders slumping under an invisible weight. You wouldn't understand, he muttered wearily, truth battling with fear. Try me, Jack urged, stepping closer, the distance inching smaller. Whatever it is, I can handle it. After a moment that felt like an eternity, his father gestured toward the old kitchen table, and they both sank into their chairs, the wood cool beneath their fingers. I should have shared this sooner, he said quietly, a tremor in his voice. But when your grandfather passed, I lost not just my father but his legacy. We had connections that people would trade for anything. I thought by shielding you, I was protecting you from that world. Jack's breath caught in his throat. What kind of connections? Money. Influence. It can all change a person, his father replied, eyes darkening. And when I chose to walk away and take care of the farm, I also walked away from the life I could have given you. My hope was that you would live freely, but it seems I've robbed you of that choice. Confusion washed over Jack alongside dawning realization. Suddenly, whispers of small-town legends filled his mind, stories he had laughed off before. Tales of his family's hidden wealth, buried beneath the simple dirt of the farm. He braced himself as uncertainty gripped his insides. So, you were never just a farmer? This whole time I thought it would be better to be humble, to let you decide who you are. But it seems I was wrong, his father murmured, the gravity of the revelation hung like an anchor in the air. Jack felt both anger and compassion for the man before him, grappling with the legacy of a past he never wanted. Why didn't you tell me? He finally managed, his voice quiet yet urgent. His father's gaze fell, filled with shame. Because I thought if I shielded you from our truth, you could find your own path without being burdened by it. But now Jack's heart sank further. It's not just about the past, Dad. The town needs us now. They need to believe what this family represents. But we can't help them if we keep ghosting around our own shadows. A flicker of realization crossed his father's face. Maybe you're right. There's a lot more at stake than just our relationship. Maybe our family name could still make a difference. I just what? Jack prompted, sensing the storm inside his father was finally calming. I don't know if I'm ready to confront everything I buried, his father admitted, eyes glistening with unshed tears. Jack rested a hand on his shoulder. You won't have to do it alone. We can face this together. We can build a future for ourselves, for our town, if you're willing to try. In that charged silence, Jack could feel the weight lifting, but it was more complicated than it seemed. They were on the brink of something massive, both thrilling and terrifying. As the sunlight began to push its way through the storm clouds, Jack realized the next conversation would redefine everything. What if we don't just host a meeting? He proposed, a spark igniting within him. What if we show the town what we can really achieve? If we stop being part of the shadows? His father hesitated, uncertainty reflecting in his eyes. As Jack's mind raced with possibilities, one question loomed heavy in the air. Surely, there was more to uncover in the depths of their legacy. What other secrets lay waiting to be revealed, and would they change everything they knew about themselves? Jack felt a surge of courage. We can do this, Dad. Let us bring the community together. They need to see our family, not as prisoners of the past but as harbingers of hope. His father looked up, searching Jack's eyes. But it won't be easy. These are old scars, Jack. People see what they want to see. They might never forgive me for walking away. Maybe, Jack conceded, but it's not too late to write a new story. They might respect honesty more than we expect. The silence swelled between them. Jack could almost hear the ticking clock in the background, each tick a reminder of time lost. Just think about it. All those years, all those missed opportunities. We can change the narrative. Change? His father scoffed lightly, a hint of skepticism in his tone. You think it's that simple? I think change starts with a choice, Dad. A choice to be brave, to face whatever comes next. Let the town see who we really are. That we're still here, together, ready to stand by them. His father's face softened, the world outside slowly turning to bright hues as the storm disappeared. You may just be right, he murmured, almost to himself. Jack seized that glimmer of hope. Let us start with a community meeting. We can share our plans, get people talking. You're more than just the farmer here, you're part of something bigger. All right, his father said, resolve slowly fortifying his voice. But you must know if we do this, we expose everything, the good and the bad. Exactly, Jack replied firmly. But it'll be on our terms, not hidden in shadows. We'll make this our story. They sat quietly for a moment, the weight of what lay ahead settling between them. Jack's heart raced at the thought of unveiling their legacy, of potentially transforming generations of hurt into something life-affirming. As the world outside came alive, he noticed the sun streaming into the room, illuminating the dust particles dancing lazily in the air. It felt like a fresh start. Just then, a familiar voice broke through their fragile bubble. Dad? Jack? It was his sister, Claire, her footsteps echoing down the hallway. Are you guys in here? Yeah, Claire, come in. Jack called out, glancing at his father, who managed a small but proud smile. As she burst through the door, an energy filled the air. "I thought I heard voices. What is going on?" Jack exchanged a quick look with their father, unsure how much to reveal just yet. We were just talking about some plans for the farm," Jack replied cautiously. "Plans that could help the whole town." Claire's eyes lit up. "That sounds exciting. What are you thinking?" Where Jack hesitated, caught in the crossroads of revelation. Would he lay everything out? The truth about their family's past, the buried secrets, the unspoken connections that could change everything? The weight of unspoken secrets clung to him, and at that moment, Jack understood this family meeting was just the beginning. As Claire settled in, her curiosity piqued, Jack felt the overwhelming flood of his desires ignite again. How much would he share? How could they take the first steps forward as a family? "Let's just say it's time for some changes," he said finally, a smile creeping onto his face. "Really big ones?" Claire looked intrigued while their father's gaze drifted toward the window, as if searching for answers in the vastness beyond. Just as the warmth in the room grew, Jack knew deep in his bones that whatever awaited them, it would demand all their courage. The past was a tricky beast, and confronting it meant stepping fully into the light. Would they all emerge stronger, or would the shadows demand their toll one last time? As those thoughts swirled in Jack's mind, an unexpected knock on the door broke the moment. Who could that be? "Should I get it?" Claire asked, glancing at her father. "Wait," Jack said, holding up a hand. "Let me." As he took a deep breath, adrenaline surged through him. Whatever awaited behind that door was bound to change everything yet again. Who would they find? And what new chapter would emerge with that next turn of the handle? Jack approached the door slowly, each step echoing the pounding of his heart. What if it was someone from the town? What if they weren't ready for this conversation yet? He steadied himself, inhaling deeply to quiet the nerves buzzing inside him. "Who do you think it is?" Claire whispered, barely able to contain her excitement. "I don't know," Jack replied, glancing back at their father, who leaned against the wall, arms crossed but with a guarded expression. Jack noticed the flicker of apprehension in his dad's eyes, a clear sign that he was wrestling with his own demons. The knock sounded again, more insistent this time, pulling him back into the moment. Jack gripped the doorknob, the cool metal grounding him. For a fleeting second, he considered stepping back, letting the moment pass. But he was done hiding. They all were. With a firm turn of the knob, he opened the door. Standing there was Mrs. Thompson, the elderly neighbor who lived a few houses down. Her white hair was tied back in a neat bun, and in her hands, she clutched a dish covered with aluminum foil, steam still gently wafting from the edges. "Hey there, Jack. Sorry to barge in, but I brought some buttermilk biscuits for you folks." Her voice was warm, like the sun breaking through clouds after a storm. "I thought we could all use a little comfort food." "Thanks, Mrs. Thompson." Jack stepped aside, letting her into the house. The sight of her beaming face brought an unexpected surge of warmth into the room. She had always been a mainstay of kindness in the community, reminding Jack that not every memory was tainted by shadows. "Claire, oh my goodness, you've grown so much," Mrs. Thompson exclaimed, wrapping Claire in a brief embrace. "And you, Matthew," she said, her gaze landing on their father. "It's good to see you. I hope you're both treating this boy well." Matthew forced a smile, but Jack could see the tension in his father's features. There was a long history between them and Mrs. Thompson. This was someone who remembered when the farm was at its peak, before everything changed. "Thank you," Jack replied, feeling a swell of gratitude mixed with anxiety. "We were just starting to talk about changes around here." He hesitated, trying to gauge her expression. Would she understand? Would she support them? Mrs. Thompson's eyes sparkled with curiosity. "Changes? Well, I do love the sound of that. The town could certainly use a little fresh energy. It feels like it's been stagnating lately." "Yeah, and we want to play a role in that," Jack said, finding his voice. "We're hoping to bring everyone together, share our story, and well, see where it goes from there." Now that spirit. Mrs. Thompson beamed, her encouragement hitting Jack like sunlight breaking through clouds. You boys and Claire have always had a good heart, and I think that'll shine through. If anyone can rally the community, it's you. But what if it doesn't work? Jack suddenly burst out, his frustration spilling over. What if they just remember the past and never forgive us for what was? Matthew cleared his throat, the shadow of doubt trailing after him. Sometimes trying is all that matters, he said softly. You can't control how others feel, but you can control how you show up. Jack absorbed his father's words, noting the shift in the atmosphere as Mrs. Thompson stepped closer, placing a comforting hand on his shoulder. You know, dear, everyone has a past. It's how we navigate it going forward that defines us. There's no better time than now. The warmth of her words encapsulated them, filling the room with an unspoken understanding. It felt like a little spark igniting in the air hope, connection, potential. Just then, a low rumble of thunder echoed again in the distance, a reminder that storms might linger longer than expected. Jack's heart raced in response. Was this the moment they had been waiting for, or just another fleeting spark to be lost? As they gathered around the table, biscuits in hand, Jack took a deep breath. They were all on the edge of a monumental change. Would they leap together, or would the shadows of their past pull them back one last time? His mind spun with possibilities, the thrill of what they could become fighting against the weight of what they had endured. Life held unpredictable turns, and at that moment, beneath the soft glow of the fading day, anything felt possible. Look, let us make a plan, Jack said, determined. The meeting needs to happen, and I think it could start this Friday. We might even put a flyer out for people to come and share stories. At that, Mrs. Thompson's eyes widened in delight. You let me know what you need. I'll help you spread the word. The whole town would love to hear from you. Jack felt a rush of joy, and yet the thunder rumbled again, louder this time. With every passing moment, they were closer to uncovering their truth. But would everyone be ready to embrace what lay ahead? As Jack stared out the window, he knew this was only the beginning. Just when he thought he could see the next steps ahead, another knock echoed, crisp and unexpected. Another visitor? What news or revelation awaited? Jack turned toward the door again, his heart pounding. The sound sent a flicker of anxiety rushing through him. He hesitated, exchanging questioning glances with Claire, who raised her eyebrows, clearly eager for answers. Matthew pushed off the wall, straightening up, as though readying himself for whatever lay ahead. Jack, go ahead, Matthew urged, a strange mix of authority and support in his voice. With a shaky breath, Jack approached the door once more. He grasped the doorknob tightly, determined to face whatever awaited them. Slowly, he pulled the door open, bracing himself for anything beyond the familiar warmth of Mrs. Thompson's smile. Standing before him was a young woman, maybe in her late 20s, with curly brown hair that framed her face. She was holding a stack of flyers that looked freshly printed. Jack noticed how her blue eyes, filled with an unusual intensity, looked straight into his. Hi. I'm Sarah, she said, her voice steady yet friendly. I'm here on behalf of the community center. We heard about your meeting on Friday, and I'd like to help. Jack's brow furrowed as he glanced at Claire and then back at Sarah. You heard about it already? Word travels fast around here, she replied with a grin. But I not only want to help spread the word, I'd love to help out with the meeting itself. We've had a few rough patches lately, and your idea of bringing everyone together is just what the town needs. Jack felt a surge of hope. Wow, that's really great. Any support we can get would be huge. Definitely, Claire chimed in, stepping closer. What do you do at the community center? Oh, a bit of everything really, Sarah shrugged, stepping into the hall as Jack stepped aside. We organize events, workshops, and community discussions. It's been a lifeline for many around here. I think your meeting could fit perfectly within that frame. Matthew watched silently, his expression guarded but somehow softened. Maybe he knew how important small acts of support could be after so many years of silence. Jack, why don't you show her the kitchen? Claire suggested, a hint of excitement in her voice. We were just talking about plans for the meeting. As they moved to the kitchen, Sarah began to distribute the flyers, her energy infectious. I can help design these, too, she said, glancing at Jack with enthusiasm. We should make sure people feel welcomed, that it's a safe space for everyone. Despite his lingering doubts, Jack felt a flicker of reassurance. Maybe this wasn't just about bringing his family together but about reviving the entire town. Thank you, Sarah, really, he said, feeling the weight of the moment. It means a lot to have you on board. Suddenly, Mrs. Thompson interjected gently. You know, it takes guts to start something new, but it's not just courage. It's also about believing in what can be. Jack nodded, absorbing her words. Underneath their conversation, he could feel the underlying current of change surging forward. As they began to brainstorm ideas, thunder rumbled again, loud and persistent, reminding them of the storm brewing outside. Jack's heart thudded with conflicting emotions, anticipation mingled with fear. Just when he felt ready to take control of the conversation, chaos erupted, the door swung open again, this time more abruptly, and a flood of people burst in, neighbors, familiar faces, all drawn by the growing buzz around Jack's meeting idea. They crowded into the kitchen, confusion and excitement merging in the air, creating a whirlwind of chatter and laughter. What's happening? Claire exclaimed, her eyes wide. Jack stood frozen at the edge of the crowd, overwhelmed but exhilarated. They were here. The community was starting to gather. What would they say? Would they share their truth? In the chaos, he spotted Sarah, her smile infectious as she moved to engage the new arrivals. And just like that, everything shifted. In this new wave of support, Jack saw potential, bright and alive. Could they really turn this gathering into something bigger? The thought buzzed in his brain like a firework on the verge of bursting into color, but just as excitement began to fill his heart, a familiar face emerged from the crowd, carrying with it a weight of memories and questions. What did that person want now? Would this turn the tide, or would it threaten everything they were trying to build? Jack's gaze locked onto the face he both dreaded and recognized. It was Tom, his old childhood friend, though friend felt like too generous a word beneath the weight of the years that had passed, the bitterness, the drifting apart. Tom had always been the life of the party, the one who rallied others, but something about him now seemed less buoyant. Jack! Tom called out, cutting through the chatter of the room. His voice had a nervous edge that Jack didn't remember. As he pushed through the crowded kitchen, people stepped aside, their conversations fading into whispers. Hey! Tom, Jack responded cautiously, unsure of how to feel. Memories bubbled to the surface, playful summer days, the promises of always being there for each other, quickly overshadowed by misunderstandings and silence. I saw people gathering, Tom said, finally reaching Jack. His eyes flickered around the room, a mix of curiosity and doubt shadowing his features. I thought I'd check it out. Didn't expect this many people. Neither did I, Jack admitted, the knot forming in his stomach tightening. We're, trying to start a conversation about coming together as a community. Yeah? That's great, Tom stumbled over his words, his enthusiasm dimmed. People have been feeling lost lately. Everyone's been on edge. You know how it is. Jack nodded, feeling the weight of those words. The townspeople had been affected by their struggles, but seeing Tom here added a new layer to it all. What had brought him back? Why now? Tom took a breath, glancing around the kitchen before returning his focus to Jack. Look, I know things got complicated between us. I'm sorry, okay? I didn't mean for it to end up like this. The humility in Tom's tone took Jack by surprise. His heart ached with nostalgia, he remembered the bond they once had. It's been a long time. Matthew, sensing the unresolved tension, stepped in. So, Tom, are you here to help? Tom glanced at the crowd, then back to Jack. If you'll have me, he replied, his voice firming up. I'd like to be part of this. I think it could really matter. Jack's heart pounded against his ribs. Was this an opportunity to heal old wounds, to revive something worth saving? The uncertainty in the air was palpable, and yet this unexpected development sparked a flicker of hope. As the kitchen filled with voices, Jack couldn't help but wonder if Tom's arrival was a turning point, a chance to rewrite their story together. Could they overcome their past? Was the spark he felt in the room real, or just another flicker waiting to die out? Suddenly, Sarah rejoined them, her eyes bright and determined. What do you think, Jack? Should we include Tom in the planning? With all hands on deck, we can make this meeting really special. Jack looked between Sarah and Tom, the prospect of collaboration tantalizing yet fraught with tension. He needed to decide quickly. All around them, the murmuring crowd awaited direction, eager for something to hold on to. Okay, Jack said, finding strength in his voice. Let us do this together, but let us make sure we don't just talk, let us really listen to each other. They all nodded, some with cautious optimism, others with uncertainty. As they rallied the group back into discussion and planning, Jack couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning of something bigger, something that could either mend the fabric of their community or unravel it entirely. But as excitement surged once again, deep down, he felt a shadow lurking, whispering questions and fears as familiar faces emerged to join the conversation. Was this truly a revival, or simply the calm before the storm? And just then, a thunderclap echoed through the kitchen, startling everyone into silence. Jack's breath caught in his throat, and he felt the weight of all that lay ahead. What else was waiting to be uncovered? The kitchen, once alive with chatter, had fallen eerily silent after the thunder. Jack glanced out the window, watching the clouds roll in, dark and heavy, mirroring the mood among the gathered faces. A sense of dread seeped into the festive air, igniting forgotten anxieties. Are we safe in here? One of the attendees asked nervously, breaking the stillness. The question hung over them, amplifying the tension in the room. Jack pushed back his fears, knowing he had to guide them, to quell the unease brewing like the storm outside. Of course we are, he said, forcing a smile, though his own heart raced. Just a little thunder. We'll all be fine. Tom shifted beside him, his brow furrowed as he surveyed the crowd, almost as if he could feel the undercurrents of disquiet. Maybe we should move to another room? He suggested softly, almost hesitantly, seeking Jack's agreement. No, Jack replied with more conviction than he felt. Let us focus on why we're here. We came together to share, to listen. That's what matters right now. He noticed Sarah's encouraging nod, her eyes bright with determination. Right. She chimed in, her voice steady. Let us turn this conversation toward what we can do together. Let us share our ideas. The group slowly began to relax, warmth creeping back into the air as people remembered the purpose of their gathering. Jack felt a slight easing of the weight on his chest. But as the discussion reignited, he couldn't shake the creeping worry about what else the storm might bring. Maybe we should talk about our community's fears, someone suggested, glancing nervously at the window. With everything going on, we can't ignore the issues at our doorstep. True, Tom interjected, his voice gaining strength. It's not just the weather. There are real problems we've been avoiding. What if we used this chance to confront them instead? Jack felt a shift in the room. A hurricane of emotions swirled inside him: fear, nostalgia, hope. They were at the edge of something big, and he could feel it deep in his bones. Yet, there was an echoing question that wouldn't let go. Were they strong enough together to face what was coming? As they shared their concerns: loss of jobs, rising costs, social isolation. Jack listened with renewed commitment. This was not just about coming together, it was about daring to be vulnerable, to trust again. The pieces of their past, their childhood, their dreams started weaving together in this shared struggle. When the conversation turned to solutions, Jack spotted a familiar face in the crowd: the mayor's assistant, Ellie. She was the glue holding many of these conversations together, always seeking to uplift others with her quiet strength. But today, he noticed the fatigue etched on her features, the shadows beneath her eyes. Ellie, he began, his voice steady. What do you think we should do? How can we help bring our community together? The room pivoted in her direction, and he sensed the collective energy shift. Had she held the key all along? Was the answer to their fears within their grasp, just waiting to be unlocked? As she opened her mouth to speak, Jack held his breath, praying for clarity, not just for himself but for everyone feeling lost. But before she could respond, a blinding flash lit up the kitchen, followed by an earth-shaking crash that sent everyone jumping back. Heart pounding, Jack realized that while they battled their emotional storm, nature was unleashing hers. What would they do next? Would they stand united, or would the thunder outside create cracks within? The air in the kitchen buzzed with adrenaline, and Jack's heart raced as he looked around at the gathered faces. The thunder outside echoed the chaos inside, reminding him of the stakes they were facing. This was more than just a meeting, it was a potential turning point for Maplewood. Let us not panic. Jack shouted over the noise, trying to steady his own nerves. We're all here together. Right now, our focus should be on what we can do as a community. He noticed the flickering glances, uncertainty lingering in the eyes of his neighbors. They needed courage and reassurance more than ever. Jack took a deep breath. We can't control the storm outside, but we can come together and face the challenges ahead. Let us talk about what we can do, starting with the issues we're facing as a town. We need to be forthright and united. The murmurs began fading away as people nodded slowly. Building that trust would take time, but that evening, under the same roof, they'd have to be honest. Tom stepped forward, a newfound confidence shining in his eyes. I think we need to acknowledge that our community has been hurting. But we have resources among us that can help: connections, ideas, solutions. Jack felt a spark of hope. Exactly. We have people here who know how to bring back jobs, how to support families struggling to make ends meet. Let us pool our knowledge together. What do we need to do to support one another? We need to stop whispering about our fears and start voicing our desires for change. Ellie finally spoke up, her voice steady despite the tremors of the thunder outside. You're right, Jack. We need a plan. We should organize community outreach programs, job fairs, perhaps even workshops that can educate others on skills that are in demand. It won't be easy, but we can draw strength from each other. A wave of murmurs rippled through the crowd, a growing swell of energy that filled that kitchen with possibility. Jack felt the warmth of camaraderie as ideas bounced around. We can hold them over at the community center, Sarah added excitedly. It can serve as a hub for all sorts of collaborations. We could use the center for farmers markets, job fairs, and more. A hushed excitement filled the room as Jack surveyed his neighbors, their eyes alight with purpose. They were beginning to see the vision together. They could foster growth, support, and unity in Maplewood. Just then, Claire chimed in, her voice rising above the chatter. And let us not forget about the stories. Everyone has a story, and sharing them can inspire us. Stories of resilience can bring us closer and ignite a spirit of hope. That single statement struck a chord. Jack's heart swelled. It was true. Every individual in that room had faced hardship, yet here they were, seeking change. The words of their shared struggles would amplify their strength. As they continued brainstorming, the thunderstorm outside seemed to fade into the background. Time became a blur as Jack felt their momentum build. They weren't just whispering about problems anymore, they were boldly crafting solutions. Hours passed, and when the last of the conversation began to wind down, Jack looked around at the glowing faces of his friends, neighbors, and even Tom standing shoulder to shoulder with him. This was the change they had all been craving, a community reawakening. Let us set a date for our first community meeting, Jack proposed as a final rallying point. I want everyone to come, to share their ideas. We can write these plans down together and see them come to life. This is our chance to begin rebuilding, to create new paths for Maplewood. His voice rang with conviction, and the crowd responded with a chorus of applause, energized by the prospect of making real change. As the meeting came to a close, the atmosphere shifted. The storm clouds outside began to part, revealing a sky filled with stars. The weight of secrets, pain, and doubt hadn't vanished, but for the first time, Jack felt a glimmer of hope. They could face whatever awaited them together, united not by their pasts but by their promising future. Driving home that night, Jack felt lighter, as if the storm of the past had finally begun to recede. But one thing lay heavy in his heart as he glanced at the stars twinkling overhead: the conversation with his father still needed closure. With all they had laid raw, Jack knew a deeper dialogue would be necessary. Healing through honesty and collaboration was just the beginning. Tomorrow would bring a new challenge, yet Jack felt ready to face whatever lay ahead. Together, they would forge a story that connected them all, turning darkness into light, despair into hope. As he pulled into the driveway, Jack glanced back at the glowing kitchen lights spilling out into the night, the laughter still echoing in his ears. The warmth of unity enfolded him as he stepped from the car. Now was the time to transform fear into action and shadows into strength. Maplewood was awakening, and Jack was right at the heart of it, and there you have it. If you love this story, this is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and let me know how this ending made you feel. Also, comment your reactions below, and don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Your support means the world to us. Together, let us keep the community growing.